This is Eli Polonsky and the Mighty Slim, and we're here talking to Jorma Kaukonen, who's coming up for a rare solo appearance Friday night at the House of Blues up here in Harvard Square. How you doing there, Jorma?
Doing great.
This is the first time in quite a while that you've just been doing it solo, isn't it?
Yeah, I for whatever reasons, rarely actually do solo things by myself, but I'm doing a couple on this little tour, and it's pretty interesting. Yeah. It's nice to meet myself again.
Well, I remember a lot of the shows you did on your own back here a number of years ago, and personally, I really enjoyed them a lot.
Oh, thanks.
How many cities are you doing solo this tour, Jorma?
Let's see. I think I am doing, I'm just guessing here, 5 or 6.
Is this going to be mainly acoustic or electric or in between or both? Or
well, I guess everything is in between these days, but I'm actually playing acoustic guitars that are more than 1 inch thick and that are hollow inside. So I guess it's acoustic, even though, of course, they're all plugged in.
Right. It was a good mix of all the sounds when you had the full Tuna up here at the Somerville Theater.
Yeah, the boys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I need reinforcement to play with the boys.
When was the last time you officially played solo?
Well, let's see. Actually, I do it in Ohio. I don't believe that I have been on the road officially solo since I did the Guitar Summit a couple of years ago, but later. It's already 1999. I guess in the fall of '98, I did some Ohio City solo. So I guess that was the last official time. And I play at the Costa Nueva, which is a little restaurant in Athens near where I live. I do that fairly regularly solo. But this is really the first time I've been quote unquote been on the road solo. Gosh, I can't remember when.
Are you still doing the? I remember hearing you talk about doing open mics out in Ohio.
I do it occasionally.
And how do you find? I remember you saying you do it to find out the reaction from a non-rabid crowd, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean that pretty much hasn't changed. It's when you go to open mics, I think we discussed this before, but I mean all of us that play know when you go to open mics, you take your friends with you. Your friends go nuts, and whoever it is owns the spot says, "God, this guy is great," and then you get a job. So. It's pretty much the same thing, but they treat me well.
Now I understand that you guys just played with Tuna out in Oakland on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, we did.
And how did that go? And was there indeed an official all-star jam at the end?
Yeah, the all-star jam. And actually, it went great. I thought it really went well. It was the string cheese incident. It was Tuna, Rat Dog, Mickey Hart's Current Planet Drum, and there was in fact an all-star jam later on. Carlos Santana was there. He didn't stay for the All-Star Jam. He played with Mickey's thing. But everybody else got together later on, and we twanged away into the new year. And then because the String Cheese guys were playing, I believe, from 1 until 4, I got to go home. It was great.
Well, it sounds like it was a great night of music, though.
It was a great night of music, and we had a really good time.
Yeah, a little further festival out there or whatever.
Yes, it was.
Cool. Now, does Tuna plan on... Are you guys going to go out with further this summer?
Nobody has really discussed that yet. I certainly hope that there'll be something that we're part of it. I guess what the other ones do depends a lot on how Phil is, and I guess he's doing okay, but I don't know if he's going to be ready to tour or not yet. So we really don't know what's happening. But if it happens, I sure hope we're a part of it.
He didn't come out and play with you guys at the All-Star Jam in Oakland, did he?
No, he didn't.
He's recuperating.
Yeah, he's still wherever it is that he is recuperating. Although I hear he's doing really well, which is great.
Good. Well, I was wondering if anybody these days has been catching your ear that you've been listening to in your car as you've been doing your solo drives from club to club and so forth.
Let's see.
I mean, we all know that obviously you've done lots of Reverend Gary Davis material and that he was one of your original inspirations.
Right. And I just got my first turntable again in years, and I'm about to start delving back into the well, although I haven't done that yet. I mention to people, most of the time when I'm driving around, I listen to country stations, and I do have a couple favorites. There's this singer, Toby Keith. He co-wrote a song with Sting, the name of which slips from me, but it's a really great song, and he's a really great artist. I really like him a lot. I like the player-oriented country singers like Alison Krauss. And Vince Gill and folks like that, and there's just a whole bunch of them. Unfortunately, a lot of that is just pop music, which I'm not really into. But I just love to hear great guitar players and great songwriters.
Yeah. Well, maybe you'll be around here to catch some of the country shows on this station, which are non-commercial. So,
Great.
yeah.
Great.
Jorma, any further word on rumors that you're going out with Rat Dog?
No. I think Mark Heron is with Rat Dog now, and I think he's going to be a permanent addition. I think Bob actually was just hoping I could help out in the interim, but Mark's a great guitar player, and he's a real decent human being, even though he did used to live in L.A. And I'm just kidding. He's a great guy, and the answer is I'm sure that Bob and I will be doing something together because he promised me, but I don't think I'm going to be going out with Rat Dog. But you never know.
And I was wondering, what do you think of the new Live at the Fillmore East Airplane album in terms of performance and sound quality?
I think the performance is great. You know, we've all become so spoiled with sound quality that some of it sounds, I know this is going to sound stupid, sounds a little too live to me. I'm not really a good judge of that, but you know, I was watching this show on HBO the other day, the opening episode of Sopranos, and while they were trying to collect some money from some deadbeat, they were playing one of the solos from that album. Mm-hmm. And I was talking to my wife and said, "Hey, while they're breaking this guy's knees, it's me and Jack, you know." And it sounded good on TV, so what do I know, you know? But I think it's a neat album, and it really shows how well I believe the band was playing together at that time.
Mm-hmm. Any other upcoming plans coming up in the near future this year, or anything for you or your cohorts, or anything?
My cohorts. Well, Jack is coming out to spend some time with me at the Fur Peace Ranch next month, and we're going to sit down in the studio and just kind of mess around and start bouncing some new ideas around for next year. We really want to do a Hot Tuna studio album, and it's been a really long time since he and I have actually just spent that kind of time together. You know, we get together and play all the time, but then you don't really get a chance to really do creative exploration. So we're going to spend 10 days or 2 weeks doing that in February, and we hope to do a Tuna album this year. Of course, I've got a trio tour coming up to push the Too Many Years album in March. I'm going to be out for a month doing that, and hopefully we'll have our normal 2 major Hot Tuna tours during the year. But in terms of what we're focusing on, I really want to do a Hot Tuna studio album. We're pretty excited about that concept.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Fantastic. I know on the new Best of Hot Tuna that just came out.
Yep.
There's the unreleased Rock Me Baby. I was wondering if there's any plans to release any more of this hidden electric unreleased Tuna, or is that pretty much up to RCA and RCA only?
Well, I think if any of us had any of that stuff, see, I used to have a lot of reel-to-reel tapes, but, you know, over the years I never did any new one. They've really disintegrated. So I don't have any jewels hiding in my archives, except, of course, for something I did solo in 64 or 65. I hope that RCA has some stuff, and if we can, I'm sure they'd be happy. But I should say, I don't know why I'm saying I'm sure, because I'm never sure about RCA. But if we get some decent sales out of the re-release stuff they're doing, I hope that they're gonna ferret out some more unreleased Hot Tuna stuff, because I know that I hope that they have some of that stuff, and I hope that they're going to re-release at some point the 3 Jorma solo projects on CD too. RCA is a great behemoth, but they're, you know, as long as you feed them, as long as the records are selling, they're pretty open to doing stuff if it doesn't cost them too much.
Yeah, well, it's business, but
it is.
As long as.
But we hope it's good business because it's good for us.
Yeah, good for you guys and good for the audience. Makes people happy. So in the byproduct, it's a good thing.
Now, Jorma, you want to tell I love the story you related to me before when you went out to Japan and found a whole store full of a tower of records full of bootlegs.
Oh yeah, the Japanese are fantastic. They really are. You know, I forget what town we were in. Michael would know it, but I think it might have been in Tokyo. I don't know. But in any case, they had in one of these big shopping areas they have so many of. They had a tower of records. It was nothing but bootlegs, and it was real high quality stuff too. I bought a whole bunch of stuff there. I was absolutely amazed. I mean, lots of performance stuff and concerts. You know, we sit at home and say, geez, you know, I wish there was more of this and more of that. Well, the Japanese have it. It's not on tapes. It's on a CD, and you get a booklet with it, too.
Well, some classy underground product there.
They're enterprising.
Yeah.
I was wondering if there were specific airplane shows that you picked up that were of high quality that you can partake to the rest of the audience?
You know, I have such selective memory these days. If I was home, I'd pick one of the CDs up and tell you because they sounded great. I'm sorry, I couldn't tell you.
That's all right.
Just because I don't remember. But it was great sounding stuff.
You should tell us a little bit about the guitar camp you're running out in Ohio. I know Slim here was bouncing around here for a little while out there last year.
Yeah, actually, we hope to snag him out there again. Well, we've got the guitar camp. We just opened up last year. Was our first year, and we had a really good year. And for an opening year, basically, it's a residential music camp. It's not just guitars, but it's more guitars than anything else, because that's what I do. And people come of various different abilities, and we hang out and just kind of live music for a couple of days. And it's worked out real well, and we're really excited about the upcoming year. Did I miss anything there, Slim, or is that pretty much what it is?
No, that it was really a fantastic time and the way life should be.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to explain because, to me, it's kind of a simple thing, but it's really what I like to do best. You know, Roy Bookbinder put it this way. He says, I get to sit around and play music and talk about myself. He says, my wife won't let me do that at home.
What about extremely novice beginners? If I came out there, that's where I would be.
Well, yeah, I think we can accommodate everybody pretty much, and anybody can learn how to play if you have the desire. What you would do is you talk to Ginger, and she would see to it that you were in a class that wouldn't depress you because you just didn't know what the guys were talking about. Yeah, sure.
I was wondering if there was any particular record that inspired you to say, I really want to play guitar after hearing that.
Well, I think over the years, I loved music when I was a kid, and there were so many, but I think one of the ones that really gave me focus was the Reverend Gary Davis album, Harlem Street Singer. Yeah. I really got a lot of direction with that. I'd sort of like dabbled with the early Jimmy Reed and John Lee Hooker, and that collection of the Best of Muddy Waters, Best of Howlin' Wolf, Best of Little Walter, those things. But I never really sat down and started to dissect those because I didn't have the knowledge. But I sort of had my foot in the door, and when I discovered that Reverend Gary Davis Harlem Street Singer, that really gave me a lot of direction.
Yeah, that finger-picking style and just the sheer soul of his music and lyrics.
Wow, the guy was just fabulous. He really was. Words don't do him justice.
No, really, that was what I was just thinking as I said that. Yeah, someone I wish I had seen. Yeah,
I really consider myself fortunate that I'm of an age so I actually did get to see him and a lot of the greats play. Fortunately, I notice a lot of like kinescopes and videos and stuff are popping up, but there's nothing like the real thing.
Right. Well, there's still some people around picking in that tradition.
Yeah, there are.
I've enjoyed John Cephas, Phil Wiggins.
Oh, they're great. They're just great. And John Jackson.
Yeah.
Jorma, how did you hook up originally playing with Michael and Pete Sears?
Well, Michael, I met Michael when we both lived in San Francisco in the 70s, and we started messing around together, back then. Pete I met when he was doing a session for, I think the Airplane was still together, or maybe it was just breaking up. It was before he got, I think the Airplane was just breaking up, and we just kind of became friends. I didn't start playing with Pete until right before we did the Live at Sweetwater album, which I think was either 91 or 92, hard to remember. And I'd gone to do a benefit for Wavy Gravy, a Save-A benefit, and at the dinner, Pete was the piano player. He was just like incidental music, people were saying, play it again, Pete, and stuff like that. And we hadn't seen each other. I said, hey, how you doing? I invited him to come down and sit in with us at the Sweetwater, and he wound up playing both nights with us, and then he was in the band. Pete's the greatest. He really is. He just picks up on stuff, and he's just so good. I just can't say too much about Pete Sears.
He's sort of been a journeyman from the Bay Area. I've seen him with a lot of different. I've seen him with Zero, and actually there was one show where I remember where you guys and Zero played together, and he was with both groups.
He's a busy guy.
Yeah. He had a nice solo album back in the 80s, too, Watchfire.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
And he's been working on another one for the past couple of years, too, collecting stuff. It should be out sometime soon.
What year did Michael officially join the lineup?
Michael officially joined the Hot Tuna lineup on the 83 tour. Some people say that the trio is Hot Tuna without the rhythm section, and there's a lot of truth in that, although we really do play differently, because when you don't have... when you're playing with Jack, Jack is a very large musical personality, so it's a different kind of interaction. But it's a more rootsy kind of a feeling thing. It's not better. It's just different.
Yeah, Jack's playing's really quite unique, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
We did when Jack was in October. Jack was in the last session of the camp at the Fur Peace Ranch, and he wanted me to help him do some multi-track stuff just so he could work with his bass students. And he and I sat down together. It's kind of funny. I mean, Jack and I have played together, oh man, for 40 years now, and we got together, but we just haven't sat down just one-on-one for a while, which is why we're excited about doing it in February. And we sat down and we taped about maybe an hour and a half of songs, just me playing acoustic guitar and him playing bass, and we listened to it and we realized we really have a unique thing going. I mean, both individually and together. It's neat stuff.
Yeah, Jack's, although his style is much different in many ways than Phil Lesh, Jack and Phil are both a couple of the most prominent and creative bass players I think that have ever been.
Yes,
yeah.
They both have a large vocabulary.
Yeah, basically they lead on certain pieces and so forth.
Oh, absolutely, no question about it.
Yeah. Anything you would like to say, Jorma, about what we what might be hearing when you come Friday night?
Well, you know, I'll probably dredge out some stuff I don't do in a group format. What will they be? Probably more ballad-like things. I can't think of anything offhand.
Are
when
you doing
get older,
In the
you'll
Kingdom?
You'll understand this. You just have to write stuff down, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, I just hope people come out and see what I'm up to. House of Blues should be a nice solo venue. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
A friend of mine wants to know: have you relearned In the Kingdom?
Have I relearned to play and sing it? The answer is no. Have I relearned to play it again? The answer is yes. Maybe I'll do it as an instrumental.
Oh.
But speaking of songs like that, you probably get Flying Clouds, Sea Child, which is sort of in the Kingdom, you know, Embryonic Journey Family, North Wind Rise, stuff like that.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Noticing how one of the big corporate rock stations up here, even though they unfortunately rarely play you guys, they use the opening notes that you play on Sea Child for one of their promos.
Hey, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Hey, Jorma, have you ever seen on it's a Time Life presents classic rock and roll collection, and they have different years, and on one of them, I think it's from the early 70s. There's a painted picture of you on the cover.
Yeah, I have seen that on TV. I'm not even sure we're on the record, but because I don't remember the lineup. But yes, I have seen that, and I must admit, it's pretty funny. I noticed that they're using Somebody to Love in this new TV show, the '60s, and I just saw an ad for the soundtrack of that, and they had some stuff of us playing together. And actually, Michael and I we had breakfast together this morning. We were kind of laughing about it because, if people that didn't know who we were today saw us, boy, I'd really like to see the Jefferson airplane, and they saw us all lined up today, they wouldn't even recognize us.
Well, yeah, times change.
So, Jorma, Beatles or the Stones?
Stones. And I only say that in retrospect because when they came out, I was just really into more the rhythm and blues things. Over the years, it's kind of funny, I've really come to appreciate the genius of the Beatles over the years. I mean, their music has really just become a part of the fabric of our lives. It's truly unbelievable. Mm-hmm. I mean, not that the Stones haven't too, but I mean, just those Lennon-McCartney compositions, you just can't get away from them.
Lennon was someone who really ended up, in a way, bearing his soul in some of the most popular music ever.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some really great writing there.
How did you achieve such feedback control on the opening intro to Pooh Neal? Seemed more control than Hendrix.
Okay, that's a good question. But, all right, well, I was starting to play with a Gibson ES-345, mm-hmm. and when we did Surrealist Pillow, I was using Standell amps, but when we did Baxter's, which is where that song occurs, I think I only had 2 twins. I grew to 4 later. And we were just messing around. It's one of these just synchronous learning events, and we were a very fortunate bunch of young musicians because we got paid to learn, mm-hmm. and we're basically fooling around. And my recollection of this, and I could be wrong, but I think I'm sort of right here, was that we spent a lot of time and money on that opening sequence to Pooh Neal, and we just messed around with it until we got it the way we liked it. I'm not sure the record companies tolerate that kind of stuff from young bands. So maybe they do. What do I know? I'm not a young band anymore. But anyway, how did I get it? Just by messing around and making a lot of noise.
Yeah, I remember At least here in Boston, there was at the time not progressive, or at the time called underground FM radio,
Right.
and that was actually coming out on the top 40 AM stations.
Huh.
I mean, after, of course, Somebody to Love White Rabbit were big, but they were playing Ballad of You and Me and Pooh Neal a little bit on AM radio, and
Wow.
it was really, because there was nowhere else to put it, and I think that's one reason my brain's a little dysfunctional the past 30 years, because I heard that coming out of an AM radio when I was 10 years old.
Well, that could slant anybody's life.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, and for the guitar campers out there, I've been playing this Gibson ES335, which is the mono version of that guitar, since '95, and Jack did a signature model bass for Epiphone. And he said, you ought to ask Epiphone to do a signature model Jorma guitar. So anyway, make a long story short, I'm in the process of doing that. It's a red 335 looking guitar with a whammy bar on it. So I've actually been kind of making not quite as radical Pooh Neal noises, because I don't use reverb anymore. But I've just been getting psychedelic again in my old age.
Fantastic. Yeah. Jorma, do you have any favorite Airplane albums?
I think I really like Bless Us Point a Little Ahead, because I just think it's a great live album.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
And looking back, it's funny, you kind of change. I think that Surrealist Pillow is a great album, but I still really love Baxter's of the studio albums, because we were all just starting to experiment with all those sounds.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of that stuff that we did there has just become a part of musical vocabulary. Guitar noises and whatnot. So I guess I'd have to say Pointed Head, Baxter's, and Pillow.
And what about Tuna?
Tuna, my gosh. Well, I think that the first Hot Tuna album is really a credible tribute album to the guys that Jack and I learned so much stuff from, all the traditional stuff. But I think I really like Burgers also.
Yeah, that's a masterpiece, I think. The first one is a very good, portrait of what you did acoustically, and a lot of the Reverend Gary Davis material and so forth. I like the Qua album a lot too.
Well, that's not a Tuna album. That's a now I'm learning to talk in categories.
Right.
Yeah, I like the Qua album too a lot, and that was done at the same time as Burgers. I don't think it came out the same year, but it was done at the same time.
What's become of Tom Hobson?
Tom passed away a couple of years ago. He moved out of the Bay Area. He moved to Atlanta, Georgia. These city noises, you gotta love them. He moved to Atlanta, Georgia, and he was working as a rigger at the convention center. And he'd had one lung. He only had one lung. When I knew him back in the '60s, he wasn't very healthy. And he died, I think, about 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh, it's too bad.
And any plans to play with Kantner again?
Well, I've learned never to say never, but we haven't discussed it. I know Paul's all fired up about the Millennium, but he hasn't talked to me about it yet. I hear from other people. But you never know. You just never know.
Okay.
How'd you end up running into Jack in the first place?
Well, Jack and I went to the same high school. We've known each other since the 50s. Jack's older brother, Jack's a couple years younger than I am, and his older brother was my age, and he's a little bit older than me. He was the first guy that had a driver's license, so of course we all cultivated his friendship so we can ride around in his car. And then I met Jack, and we were both interested in music, and we started messing around together, I guess, in '57. Jack and I had a band called the Triumphs.
Wow.
And we actually cut a single in, I guess it was '57 or '58, and I believe there were only 4 copies made, or 5, because there were 4 or 5 members of the band. And I actually have one of these things. It's on one of these steel acetate covered things.
Wow.
It's a '78, and I just put it on DAT earlier. So at some point, this is probably the only recording that we have the only copy left, because I'm sure the other guys have long since lost theirs. So at some point, maybe we'll add it to a collection. People have to buy it because it has Jorma and Jack and the Triumphs on it. And it's funny because it's actually a pretty credible sounding record for that period of time. Jack was the lead guitar player. I was the rhythm guitar player. It's funny stuff. You'll hear it someday.
That was a full band, though.
Was a full band.
Yeah.
And actually, the lead singer's name was Phil Covell, so that was actually Phil Covell and the Triumphs.
Huh.
And Phil sings Magic Key on one side and Symbol of Your Love on the other side.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Good old 50s rock and roll there, I guess.
You got it.
Yeah, cool.
Well, I'd like to thank you for talking to us. We really appreciate you spending some time to rap.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for being interested, and stop by and say hi if you get a chance at the House of Blues.